Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Lazer Grand Arena round of 32. Up next, we just had a very exciting match between Flying Tuna and Nev, and now we're back to bring you Tebi versus YokesPai. I'm Dimash, and I'm going to be joined on this cast by Mavs. How are you doing?
Yo, what is going on, everyone? Yeah, welcome into Lazer Grand Arena. My first match here, casting for this Lazer tournament. And yeah, pretty nice banger match there between Tuna and Nev. Tuna putting on probably the best performance we've seen so far. You know, of course, always comes down to the maps that end up getting played, but just overall on the score that he managed to accumulate there, over 4 mil, only player to hit that so far. Pretty impressive. But yeah, Tebi YokesPai right now. And I would say a pretty polarizing matchup, as we were just discussing before. Definitely opposite sides of the coin here in terms of these players' skill sets, and also pretty close in standard rank as well. So probably going to be expecting, I would imagine, some pretty polarizing scores here in terms of, you know, I'm expecting Tebi to do really well on some of these hard rock, some of these more tapping oriented maps, and YokesPai to do well on some of those the opposite types of maps, really, you know, the more reading oriented, more hidden type maps and more gimmicky. So yeah.
Yeah, and something as well, I think we're going to be starting with the draft order very, very soon. But yeah, something else that the qualifiers don't necessarily tell us is when players had the playlist, they had up to 22 players on all of the 11 maps that were available, and they could split those however they wanted. But obviously the aim was to get at least one score. So you may have found that certain players wanted to boost up certain scores and not bother with others that they just didn't feel like playing. So, you know, some of their lower scores might not be representative of how they'll actually do on a one try attempt. But you can definitely see here the those polarizing styles that we pointed out. You know, you got Yokes locking in that hidden 2, and Tebi locking in those 2 DT picks. So yeah, polar opposites to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, makes sense. Even if Tebi isn't super comfortable on all these DTs, it still makes sense to just go into it against a player like YokesPai. You know, it's just Tebi's probably going to be more comfortable on it regardless. Like, pretty much no matter what, considering he is good at most DT and hard rock style picks. So it makes sense. And YokesPai actually taking out the hidden one, which is that's pretty interesting to take out, but possibly just not comfortable with the patterning on that map, or perhaps the VPN. So it's gone, and Nomad 1 going out as well. Pretty good map, I think, to ban out against a player like YokesPai as well. Just your generic raw aim. YokesPai always pretty damn consistent on stuff like that. It's always been a staple for Norway on the consistency type of picks. But yeah, almost got the full setup of maps here. So we're just approaching the last final bans. Nomad 4 going to be going... Nomad 3 going out here as well from Tebi. Take out that ult also makes sense against YokesPai. Very, very consistent on those Nomad 3s, which one of the hardest skill sets to be consistent on in tourney. And there goes the DT1 as well. So yeah, pretty standard stuff.
Yeah, and that'll leave Kaleidoscope to go in as the final map. I'm a bit disappointed. I kind of wanted to see a Tebi versus YokesPai Billy Boogie. You know, very linear patterning on that map. So disappointed, but again, it makes sense for Yokes to maybe not want to take the chance with the DT. The hard rock probably leaves them a bit more open. So we just have to wait for the ref to put them all into the draft order on the client, and then the players basically just begin when they're ready. There isn't so much of a timer with the Lazer client, which is everything in Lazer is a bit different to what you've potentially seen on standard.
Yeah, and you know, if you're a viewer who's learning how this all works, you know, so are we, all the casters. We really haven't, you know, delved too much into the Lazer tourneys, Lazer client, so this is all new to most of us here as well. Everyone's scrambling, trying to get it sorted. But yeah, I mean, this first map here, hidden 2 out of the gate, not too familiar on how Tebi is going to perform on a map like this. I can't recall like seeing him play much reading or just low AR in general. So not really sure how he's going to go on a map like this in 20 against a player like YokesPai. You would of course expect YokesPai to be the favorite, but yeah, unbeknownst to me on how Tebi may perform.
Yeah, again, this into is a bit different from what we saw in the qualifier pool. You know, the qualifier pool was very much your kind of standard. I mean, it's AR 7.5, so that was a bit different anyway. But you had that standard Circle Size 4, whereas here you've got a different mix of an AR 9 but a CS2 map. And 140 BPM, you create a very dense pattern reading map where there's a lot of information on screen at once, and that can throw a lot of players off, especially potentially someone like Tebi, who's much more focused on like higher BPM stuff and tends to set on that higher approach rate. But saying that, I think Tebi performed very well on the qualifiers for this. Just need to find the actual information. Yeah, number 6 on Hige Driver in qualifiers with 800k, 97.66. Of course, Yokes got number 1. So
yeah, to be expected. I mean, you know, that kind of lends itself though to possibly give us a decent showing here. Of course, the map going to be pretty vastly different from that qualifiers map, like you said, but still, I'd say, you know, the density in this regard kind of leaning more away from just the raw AR component in terms of, you know, it's not AR8, it's going to be like an AR9 map, but it's CS2. And I mean, like, that kind of CS is going to make the map dense just by default, because these circles are going to be so big. And if you've got patterns that are even remotely closely put together, or like closely together, yeah, the density is going to get annoying, especially on the AR9 still, which isn't even low. It's not, isn't even high, sorry. AR9's like not high. Like AR9 on a map like this is still going to feel rather dense. So here we go. Going to be locking in things here very shortly. Should be getting into it soon.
yeah, and something to point out, not necessarily with this map, but the latter ones as well, like the DTs. Failed scores do actually count here, but because of how no fail works on Lazer, it actually puts a, I think it's a 0.5 multiplier onto your score, so it would actually drop them down quite a bit. So we're just not going to use it here, but it may affect how the multiplayer links look when you come out of matches, because if you fail at any point in a map, Lazer will fail your score automatically and won't make it appear. We had that in the last match with on the DT1, so I just wanted to advise people about this, but yeah, here we go.
Yeah, first map for me, casting in a Lazer client here. Gonna have to get accustomed to the way this score multiplier actually works. So, a little bit different from your normal standard tournaments on a standard client, if you haven't really been keeping up with Lazer whatsoever, but the score is going to be much more accuracy based. Not overall, just more accuracy based in comparison to the previous scoring system. So something important to keep an eye out for, but so far both players almost neck and neck on those accuracies, and the lead very slightly favoring Tebi out of the gates, but YokesPai is going to have that combo lead, and there's another double reset.
Yeah, again with Yokes getting slightly higher max combo at the moment, it is going to favor him slightly because their accuracies are, like you said, neck and neck at the moment. They are in very close contention at the moment. It's going to be going back and forth. Break there from YokesPai is going to open things up for Tebi to take advantage now. He's looking the more solid player right now. But still very, very close. Only 12,000 between the two of them, and nearly 3 minutes of map left to go.
Yeah, it would be a scary prospect for YokesPai to lose this pick out of the gate. Like a map you would favor him on more overall in this matchup, but Tebi comes out of that section with a huge combo lead. Axe still neck and neck, and there goes YokesPai again. Another drop. Tebi looking to run away with this one. Continues to hold a 400 combo, finally finds the drop. And that score, only a 10k diff. Make that 20, make that almost 30. YokesPai crumbling a little bit there, but Tebi, not much of a cushion to sit on. But they got that lead.
Yeah, it's going up more and more. 93 act to 92.7 at the moment. So it is still a Tebi favourite, and it's climbing as well. Yokes finding a lot of issues with the accuracy here. And it's all about regaining that consistency. But there's still a good chance here. And to remind people as well, it's not actually map wins. It's the overall score difference with this tournament. So you know, as long as Yokes can stick close on this map and maybe another, it's nothing too detrimental. But you would want to be ahead going into Tebi's next two map picks. But it's not looking that way at the moment. As Tebi looking more solid player, but look at this, both of them hitting through that, and look at the combo from Tebi now. Really going to be doing the work.
Crazy performance from both of them to get through that pattern. That was just an onslaught of cut doubles, and both of them hit it. Tebi finally goes down, and now Yokes has turned to strike. No, actually loses a combo as well, so a 50k difference, but Yokes, like you said, keeping up with that score. And hopefully won't be too big of a detriment for him moving into the later maps. But yeah, well, I mean, like, in a format like this too, you really got to favor the more all-rounded player. The well-rounded player, I think, is always going to be good in a format like this, where you have the score, like, overall score is going to matter on every map. You can't just bomb out a map and go, you know, 100k. It's just, every point's going to be important. And you can see here, Tebi, not his pick, still able to perform on this map and pull home the 570 plus K here into the ending, and goes up on YokesPai, moving into his two picks, which is a very, very good position to be in. But still a good score from YokesPai, and still in contention here if he can put up some decent scores on these DTs.
Yeah, he's gonna have his work cut out for him, really. Going into this next one as we really ramp things up. From Rengoku Strip, we're going all the way up to as high as 233 BPM with this one. It's AR 10.3, CS 3.7, and it's a very modest and short minute, 37 seconds long.
It's pretty interesting with this new scoring system too, not specifically the format, but the scoring system with being more act focused. Definitely going to make for some funnier moments in tournaments potentially in the future that are going to be map point based. You know, like it's your normal format with, you know, going down 1-0, 2-0, 2-1, etc. And having those moments at the ends of maps where players just absolutely collapse on patterns and just chain miss 20 times, and having stuff like that occur in a format, in a scoring system, sorry, where the accuracy is much more important than previously. And just seeing maps flip last second, I think it's something that we're going to see probably more often with the new scoring system, which I'm excited to see because it's going to make for some closer and more hype maps in the future. But yeah, just something to look out for, I think. Here we go. Going to be hopping right into this DT2. And as you're expecting, of course, Tebi probably to have the advantage on this, but I mean, that's what we said about that hidden 2 for Yokes. Didn't quite pan out that way. See if Yokes is here to upset Tebi today, but out of the gates, it's not looking promising with the 80%. Could have been a bit of a fumble to try and adjust to the map, always can happen. Managing to hold on to the combos, so not looking too bad for Yokes, but there it goes. You can see the UR on the right side of his screen there. Not really able to get through a majority of these patterns. Tebi, on the other hand, looking fairly comfortable. And yeah, I mean, Yokes, he's just got to really put up as much of a score as he can and then move on in the match. And already halfway through this map, so we'll have to see how you do.
Yeah, again, that score difference, the higher that Tebi can take it, the more damage that Yokes will have to claw back later on into this matchup. But it'll be a great struggle. Still managing to put up decent score though, 300k from YokesPai so far, despite the 82 AC. But how far is Tebi going to take it?
Tebi almost bringing home the FC, finally missing at the ending there. On a solid near 95 accuracy. Pulling in a big score. That's going to be a big boon moving forward in the match. 850k and you beat your opponent out by 500,000 points. That is going to net him a substantial lead, as you can see here on the top. About 550k of a cushion now Tebi has to work with, and it's still moving into another map that he picked in the draft. So here we go. It's going to be another DT. We're going to get DT3 this time. It's going to be dragons.
Yeah, again, we're really pushing the boundaries on this one. I believe this has got a 1.6 times multiplier for the speed. And it's going to be all the way up at 262 BPM. At AR 10.5. So, as you can see, we're not sticking to just the standard 1.5 times for the speed on DT. We're mixing things up here and there. I think in the qualifiers we had a 1.6 and a 1.4. So we're experimenting here and there with the rate changes.
Yeah, and by the way, this is AR 10.5. This is no joke. AR 10.5 is usually the type of AR you only see in very, very prestigious high-level tournaments against some of the best players. It's not too common in tournament scene, really, in general. So 10.5 on a map like this, it's going to be very difficult to play. 10.5 really is only kind of comfortably played by most players on just your generic aim. But when you start mixing in a lot of bursts, a lot of doubles, like a map like this, it becomes very, very difficult to read. As you can see, Yoke's accuracy down there on the 88. Tebi holding up that AC a bit better, and that is going to maintain his lead, even with this combo advantage from Yokes. This accuracy-based scoring, slightly more accuracy-based scoring than previously is going to keep Tebi pretty firmly in the lead. But there goes Yokes' combo, and now Tebi to run away with it. But Yokes putting on a bit of a better performance than that previous DT.
Yeah, he's sticking to Tebi a bit more in this situation. And that's the most important thing, but we've still got quite a lot of map left to go. Minute and a half. And so far, so good. I mean, if Yos can keep this to 200k, I mean, he's already got to make up 600k across two maps, roughly, to keep in this, so he needs to start finding those victories if he can, because another 200k will put it, what, 800k, and that is a massive score deficit to claw back in two maps.
At that point, you're not even hoping, you're not just hoping to do really well on the following maps, you're also hoping for Tebi to do poorly. And I believe the next two maps are hard rock, so I don't think Tebi is going to do that poorly. So it's going to be very difficult for Yokes, I think, to mount any sort of a comeback in this match. But at the very least, only going down on this one by less than 300k, which was far better than the previous DT. But now Yokes, he's going to have to step up. He's practically going to have to FC, I think, these maps here, and hope that Tebi doesn't get near FCs himself. To bring back a near 900k score deficit so far.
Yeah, he is currently 845,702 down off Tebi's score right now. So we are very much looking for around 420k score difference after the next two maps. That's what it's going to take for Yokes to win.
Yeah.
or an insane performance in one of these maps, and he basically has to win both these maps by a good margin.
Yeah, and I mean, knowing Tebi, he's probably not going to get less than, what, 300-400k on these hard rock picks. So, you know, let's give him benefit of the doubt and say probably not going to get less than 400k in most scenarios on maps like these. Just hard rock in general, pretty comfortable hard rock player. So Yokes, he's going to be looking for near FCs, I think, at the very least here.
Yeah, and he's going to have to get things into gear pretty quickly this map. Not very long, 2 minutes 19 in total. And that early miss, yeah, it's going to hurt. Miss for Tebi though. Good thing if you're YokesPai, who's starting to get things under control, but is trailing a lot on the accuracy, which is not going to help. There's another miss.
Kind of a brutal map so far, not going to lie. This one definitely looks quite difficult with the CS. Some of these space patterns on this circle size, definitely brutal, especially anti-aim doubles like that. Not friendly to play whatsoever. As you can see so far for both players struggling to approach the halfway point, but yeah, looking like 500k scores are going to be what ends up coming out of this one, unless either of these players can build up a substantial combo in the second half. Tebi looking like he wants to do just that with that 100 combo as he moves into the second half of the map. Here we go, slight break.
Yeah, I should also point out as well that the client doesn't actually apply the hard rock multiplier, so that's that's CS6 standard. That's 7.8 when you apply the multiplier.
Yeah.
Because this is not 6, I'm telling you now.
It definitely does not look like 6. When the circles are pretty much smaller than the cursor on screen, yeah, that's probably not CS6. 7.8 is no joke, man. Definitely, again, something you're not used to seeing in a lot of 20s. Very, very small circles. And a map like this doesn't lend itself to it in a friendly way either. Look at these patterns, man. On 7.8, this is brutal. I'm not gonna lie. Definitely the most brutal map we've seen so far. But both players managing to handle it quite well. Tebi, actually, putting up possibly a 600 plus K here in this ending. Doing very, very well on this hard rock. And the accuracy's well and truly up there on that 97 plus on a map like this. Very impressive. Not a bad score from Yokes, but at this point, it's pretty much going to seal Yokes out from winning this match. I don't think there's any realm of possibility to take this one back. And I mean, the winner screen popping up for Tebi there. I think may as well bring it up early. I don't think Yokes can win this. Unfortunately, I think Tebi would have to get a negative score on this next map for that to even happen.
Yeah, it's something that the client just does, which, you know, you love to see. But yeah, it's
yeah, I can make a 1 million deficit umbrellas. All right, let's see it, man.
He's got this. He's got this. All he has to do is FC, and then I was going to say if Tebi fails, then technically he would win because his score wouldn't be added. But actually, when I think about that, we have failed scores count, so he will technically lose the match, but he could appear the winner on the MP if he FCs and Tebi fails. That's all he has to do. It's not that hard, right?
Tebi would have to get an abort, come back, start to set the map for second time, and then his power would have to go out on the first note. I think that's the only world where we see Yokes win this, unfortunately. But we'll have to see how the players can do here into this final map. It'll be a techie-styled hard rock pick. As you can see already, it's accelerating, wiggly, weird streams. Maps like this, always such a joy to play and watch. Maybe the question is, can Yokes take one home in this match so far, being bested by Tebi on all 4 maps that have been played? And so far, he is keeping up. He's got the score lead. Doesn't have the combo advantage, but accuracies are there, which is not something we've been used to saying this match. Tebi has definitely been in command in terms of accuracy very, very often in this matchup. And there goes Yoke's combo, though. So, not a good start as... Well, we move into already the final third of the map. Very, very short. This one's only 2 minutes long. And there goes Tebi's combo. Yokes now going to take the lead and the accuracy advantage. He's just going to have to hold on for a bit longer. He manages to get through these patterns, man. Some very, very brutal patterns in here as well. But Yokes managing to do it, maybe? Dimash, let's see. To the re-ending of this map. 40k lead. Can he finally bring one home?
Yeah, again, he's got the opportunity, he's got the accuracy and the combo in hand. Just needs to maintain it for that little bit longer. 10 seconds left. He's almost at the end, and I think he is going to do it quite soundly. He got his map win.
He did. And that would have been the type of map where I would have expected to see a very just random chain miss on in the end. And that would have been what I was talking about earlier. It would have been funny to see it there, just Yokes collapsing and losing 100k at the ending. But no, doesn't do it. Finally takes a win on a map at the very least. But Tebi, pretty dominant performance all round. And I mean, just the more well-rounded player, I think generally going to come out in top in this kind of format, really. And it's what you expect to see from a player like Tebi, you know? You got someone like Yokes where, yeah, he's really, really good at these reading-oriented, hidden, more gimmicky picks, but a player like Tebi, even though he's good at the tapping, even though he's good at the hard rock, he can still play those other maps, and that's just going to be such a huge boon for you in a format like this. So you're not going to bottom out on your scores, you're not going to get 100Ks on those reading picks, you're still going to put up a fight. And as you can see, point proven as Tebi takes that match pretty convincingly.
Yeah, he's had solid 3 map wins, and that really helped the score deficit. Picking up that early overall score difference on Hidden 2 really, really helped. Again, this format can be pretty brutal on the maps you can't play. The all-rounders are the ones that are going to shine the brightest here, and that's pretty unique.
Absolutely, and for our following matchups, do believe we are going to have 2 matches. Unknown if we are getting a B stream in 32 minutes from now, because there is 2 matches on, but the A stream match, at least, unless the schedule gets changed, I'm assuming is going to be Nope JKK versus Zestash. It's going to be 32 minutes from now, and the other matchup at the same time is going to be AkensEX versus RQ. So, yeah, unknown. It is supposedly going to be Nope JKK versus Zestash on the A stream, but we will have to wait and see if that B stream is going to be coming around, and we may be getting both matches.
But yeah, that's gonna we're gonna take that short break in about we will return in about 27 minutes time. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back shortly.